Hey, everybody. I'm just coming on live with Dr. J. Davidson here on day one of our DIY Detox Summit. So it's been a really exciting day. We have a great collection of speakers today, and I just kind of wanted to bring on one of them every day to just answer questions and get more interaction. Jay's company is also one of our sponsors of the summit, so we're very thankful for that. Their products are really excellent. It's awesome that you get exposure to them and at a discount during the summit, so that's really cool. So, we had some questions about supplements for parasites, a few kind of, I guess you could say, protocol questions. So we're going to just fire away at this poor doctor for 20, 25 minutes and give him all the questions we can get. So thanks for coming on, Dr. J.
Yeah, I'm just super excited to be here and honored. And it's just amazing the lineup that you put together, Bridgit, and your interview is so awesome. So really thankful to be part of it and excited for your audience to be listening. Like, this is just awesome information. I mean, you got Wendy Myers and Dr. Schaffner talking today. It's great stuff.
Yeah. I had someone say today, some of these summits, it's the same old thing and it's not very specific. And I'm like, no, this is, and your summits are the same. Like, who's the, who you want, who has something to say. And everybody's got something great to say. So let's dig in. So you and I talked about on our interview, detoxing safely, some things to think about. We talked about like the detox funnel and making sure the funnel's open. We talked about parasites. People had questions about that. So one question that came through my Facebook group, it's a little more general for the summit, but I think it also like kind of applies to what we're going to talk about with you is, what about pregnancy? Can I do this or not? What is safe to do for detox while I'm pregnant, or breastfeeding, probably similar category, and what is not safe to do?
Great questions. I don't think there's a one size fits all. However, The conservative answer from a clinical side is you don't want to push detox and you don't want to push killing pathogens when you're pregnant. Because you have to remember, anything that you're doing, you have this little fragile life inside of you that you don't want things like debris and things to essentially affect that little one. So anytime somebody's pregnant, I'm always on the aspect of, let's just do supportive things. Now, there's the time, Bridgit, where somebody has a crisis and it's like they have to, move forward and do some stuff, then that's that situation. And I'll also preframe this, that I've had clients wanting to get pregnant. Like I had one client I was working with for 11 months. And then as I was working with her husband's like, I totally need to do this. Like I'm on board. I need to get myself healthy too. So I was working with him for maybe 4 or 5 months. And then she got pregnant. And one of the things that you'll see sometimes online, Mimosa pudica, is anti-fertility, like not good for fertility. Well, the seed, it doesn't have any of that. And both these people are on it. But when she got pregnant, it's always this analysis of, okay, what has she been used to doing? Because when somebody's pregnant, I never want to introduce something radically different, because that difference, that changing, if you will, of protocols can really throw the body in a tailspin and can affect the baby more so. For her, she had already been detoxing pretty intensely, going after parasites, going after pathogens. So we took her off quite a few things, but we kept her on very minimal dose Mimosa pudica seed, kept her on a very minimal dose of bioactive carbons. And in that case, I'm like, okay, so minimal pathogens, minimal detoxification, because her body was already used to it. And I mean, labor, pregnancy went amazing, baby born, baby mama happy, so kind of know the beginning, the during, and the after, and that was awesome. But for the majority of the time, anytime you're pregnant, it kind of stinks. It's like, don't try to push detox, don't try to push pathogen killing. When you're breastfeeding, especially earlier on, I'd put it in the same category. But as the baby gets a little bit older, especially beyond 6 months, especially beyond 12 months, then mom gets a whole lot more flexibility. But I still like kind of that slow and low, and not to, no major shocks.
Okay. Yeah, good. I'm glad we addressed that. We ended up not really focusing on fertility or pregnancy in the summit, just because it's such a subset. And I while I really honor that, I used to just do fertility for a few years. Like, it's just not like everyone can relate. So I'm glad we were able to talk about it here. And yeah, I would agree. Like doing milder things, like somebody just specifically asked about dry brushing or Epsom salt baths. I mean, to me, I don't have a problem with those. That's just like moving lymph, adding
Yep, those are
liver
awesome.
support. That's fine. It's just like you said, stronger stuff. And on that same note, I had someone ask about, what about this parasite protocol for kids? And I thought, I'm going to ask him about that one. Is it just lower dose, or what would you say?
Yes, kids can absolutely parasite cleanse. Anytime kids bedwet, that's a signal of parasites. Anytime kids itch their butt, parasites. Tummy aches, my brain's always thinking parasites. Food allergies, parasites. So there's a lot of symptoms where it's like, oh yeah, okay, totally get that. But as far as kids, if they don't swallow capsules, then looking at tinctures or liquid formulas is great.
God, that's true. A lot of kids won't do a capsule. That's
yeah. So if they're really small, then you want to look for more liquid things. Otherwise, most supplements, you can open the capsule up and mix it in something. So if you open up, for instance, like we have a product called Formula One, it's got a bunch of different Ayurvedic herbs. That's not something I would just take with water and drink down. It's, it's kind of got some zing to it with the herbs. So you could mix that with applesauce or, mix it within something and have the child take it. But then looking at something that is fat soluble, like mimosa pudica seed. My daughter, she was taking it when she was 4 years old. And that one is fat soluble. So if you mix it with water, it starts to gel up and it's really hard to like swallow the goobery type thing. So you want to mix it with olive oil or avocado oil. Generally though, the taste and texture for kids can be a little tough mixing with like an oil. So maple syrup is the go-to, and then just chase it down with water. So that's kind of the trick for mimosa pudica seed with kids. Now, when we're looking at dosing, you want to base it primarily based on their weight. So if a child is normal weight age, then that's fine. But I always think of like a 10-pound or a 10-year-old that's 100 pounds kind of being, rough standard. That's going to be half dosing of an adult. So if you're working up to 2 capsules of something twice a day, so you're working up to 4 capsules total. If it's a 10-year-old and 100 pounds, then just cut that right in half. So you're working the child up to 1 capsule twice a day.
Oh, okay.
If the child is 5 or 6 years old and let's say like 50 pounds, then I would do a quarter dosing of an adult.
Okay.
Now, let's say it's a 7-year-old and they're 100 pounds, then I would dose more based on their weight necessarily than their age.
This is kind of good for me to hear because I'm like the size of a 10-year-old. So I think I should be like dosing a little smaller. And I've asked this on one of your Q&As. I had a pretty strong reaction to one of your tinctures. And I think I need to like keep that in mind for myself too.
Yeah. So it's a great thing to think about for an adult as well. So that's a great point. But as far as kids can absolutely parasite cleanse. You just want to adjust the dosing based on weight and age. And then also look at the child and say, well, my child can handle anything. Okay, well, then you can probably, get the dosing up there quicker versus a child that's like super reactive and sensitive. Then you still want to go slow and low and eventually maybe work up to that, quarter or half dosing.
Okay, perfect. I like the bedwetting tip. That's really great information. And the itchy butt, I feel like I've seen kids with that as well. We had a question about someone without a gallbladder. I think she was mainly asking about the coffee enemas we chatted about and just wondering, would that still work for her? Is that still safe with her? What does she have to keep in mind that's different for her about detox?
So anybody that's missing a gallbladder, basically you've had issues in the liver gallbladder area, liver bile duct area for a long time. So when you get the gallbladder out, it doesn't mean anything's fixed. It just means now you're missing the storage sac. So coffee enemas, there's nothing wrong with doing those. Those are super beneficial. The key thing you want to look at is when you're missing that gallbladder storage sac, that typically bigger meals with fatty foods are going to be hard, in large quantities. So typically those people eat smaller meals more frequently, is a little bit more digestible. But anytime you're missing the gallbladder, adding TUDCA, TUDCA, or adding like an ox bile to your meal can really help digestion. But coffee enemas, there's no contraindications with missing a gallbladder.
Awesome. Yeah, great. We have a formula in our store called LVGB, liver gallbladder, and we've got a bitters extra formula too, if this person's looking for some ideas on that. So that's great. So we had a question. These kind of I have answers for, but let's hear them from you. Somebody asked about type of coffee, and then someone also asked about like tubing and equipment. This person asked about the tubing, thought, oh, like, is it really long, like curving around the corner of your colon? So can you speak to those two questions?
Yep. When we tested out, the air roasted or lightly roasted coffee is best. And of course, getting organic, because you don't want to be brewing a coffee that's got pesticides and you're extracting the pesticides to then put them, do it an enema. Same thing with ingesting coffee. You always want to get organic, no pesticides. And of course, the mycotoxins is another thing to look at, but air roasted and lightly roasted is the best for coffee enemas. Now, as far as tubing, I always like to look at silicone tubing. And as far as equipment, you can get a stainless steel bucket or glass, or even a silicone bag as well too. So there's multiple things. But for the tip length, you want to insert a coffee enema 6 inches in. So the goal isn't to get it all the way up around the colon, like the whole U shape.
No.
Because the hemorrhoidal veins are in the descending colon. So they're about 6 inches in from the anus or the rectum area. So you just want to get that tube in about 6 inches, and then the veins are going to absorb all the coffee and go directly to the liver. So if you are doing maybe like an essential oil enema and you're trying to clear out ropeworm, that's a different case where you want to try to get the tube up as high as you can to really try to release a lot of the large intestine stuff. But a coffee enema, it's about absorption into those veins. So only 6 inches in.
Okay. And I think personally, I'm not getting my tip 6 inches in and it's still working. So I would say, maybe if that can be your goal, but like, I think it still kind of works if it doesn't hit there, because if coffee's still kind of flowing.
Oh yeah. That? Yeah. It can be 4 to 8 inches, right? It's not like it has to be exactly 6, but the thing I find is the smaller that insert, like let's say you put it in just an inch or 2, it's going to be a whole lot harder to hold it because you've got all that liquid right at the anus or rectum area that's basically triggering your body to say, ooh, you've got something to expel. So one of the challenges with doing coffee enemas is holding liquid in. And so getting that in 6 inches, sometimes people even put it up about 8 inches, can be a little bit more comfortable if they have a hard time holding it.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that. Okay. All right. Neglected to remember that when I was first learning all this. Okay, perfect. Yeah. And people ask, I just bought my kit on Amazon. You can maybe buy it sometimes locally, but that's probably the easiest place is go online for a kit. Great. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about your products. So you've got a coupon code available for us. I'm putting the link below this Facebook video. I'm putting it also in the page, your speaker page for the day.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you've got a coupon code called DIY15. So it's for 15% off, I think anything, or 20% off what you call like your detox starter kit. I think that's the name. Yeah. Detox starter protocol. So I wondered if you could explain what comes in the detox starter protocol.
Yeah. So the detox starter protocol is basically the protocol that Dr. Watson and I have formulated that we use clinically, that then we help to get people started on more on a mass scale. So when you look at the detox starter protocol, it's got multiple things in it. It's like a 4-month protocol. So it's not just a quick, colon cleanse or something like that. The first phase is really about supporting drainage. So opening up the colon, supporting liver, bile duct, and kidneys, really starting to get the foundation of energy, the mitochondrial energy going in the body. Then as you open up those drainage pathways to kind of prepare the body, the second phase, which is really 30 days in, that's when we like to go after parasites and, support the immune system, especially in the GI. One of the things that I see is people love like, oh my gosh, Mimosa pudica seed, Formula 1, I'm going to kill some worms. And they dive in and they're like, wow, look at all this. And then they kind of get this crashing, like getting a lot of symptoms because they didn't prepare their body. So there's, and some people just need to do that just to know like, hey, it's working and this is awesome. But generally what we recommend is always open up the pathways because we want to minimize symptoms. I don't want people to like not feel good during this process. I want bodies to function. So the first phase is really opening the drainage up. The second phase is really going after the parasite side of things, and then going deeper in the lymphatic system. And it's got some binders in there as well, because when you kill parasites, you're going to release heavy metals, and you're going to have viruses come out of the parasites. You're going to have bacteria come out of the parasites. So you want immune supporting things. And then we kind of transition you to really start pushing more in the detoxification side of things, such as, the heavy metals and pesticides. So the detox starter protocol, it's definitely not a like, oh, I just want to test something out. No, it's like, no, that you're speaking my language. I'm ready to change my life. Yeah. So it's definitely more like I'm committed, because it's a 4-month thing. We have a 15% off the DIY 15 code, 15% off anything. If you just want to start with one thing, I would say mimosa pudica seed. But honestly, I mean, the protocol, the detox starter protocol, it's the way to go for sure.
Yeah. So just a little logistics. If you do put the detox starter protocol in your cart, it's already 20% off. So you don't have to put in a coupon code, and it'll kind of alert you to that, just so that might have been a little confusing. So that one's already set up for you at 20% off, and it's like a lot of products. But yeah, if you want to try, this or that, he's got a great like bowel mover product. All your products are really unique and great. And I'm like so thankful that you made them accessible, to people, because our people are so knowledgeable now, and they're just like, I want to do this. I want to get my hands on this stuff. Right.
Yeah, it's been a game changer. And we have a brand new product called Mito Restore that's focused on the mitochondria, and that just came out a couple of weeks ago. It's amazing, the testimonials that are pouring in. People that are like bedbound, they're like, I finally have some energy. So really excited for that product. That one is a really expensive product actually to make. So it's definitely not on the cheap end, but wow, the results we're getting. So if you're interested in mitochondria, there's the Mito Restore too.
Well, I'm really interested in mitochondria, and I haven't bought that yet because of all the chaos going on over here.
Well, yeah, it's amazing we're able to even do this with the summit going on right now. So I applaud you.
Yeah, but I'd like to check out that product. I'm a big fan of mitochondrial energy support. Actually, one of my bonuses, if you purchase the summit, is you get a video of me talking about that subject. So, in my opinion, it's always the better you understand something, you might say, oh, this product's expensive. But if you're like, oh, I understand how my mitochondria could need this, and I get a discount right now. It's like, okay, like let me test this out, and you're getting this great feedback. So it's fantastic. So that product's called what again?
That's called Mito Restore. So Mito for the mitochondria, and then just restore, one word, Mito Restore.
Okay. So do you want to share a little bit more about okay, we know we can start with a detox starter protocol. Mm-hmm. We know you mentioned the mimosa pudica if you just want to buy one thing. You mentioned the Mito Restore. Maybe any other popular things that people start with, or I don't know. I know you've got some supportive products too. People might be curious about your binders. We've got a lot of questions on those actually. So you just talk up the products a little more for me.
Okay. Yeah. And so I guess it depends on where people want to start. I mean, honestly, the detox starter protocol is all encompassing, kind of covers you in the right order. So I would recommend, if you're able to and really feel like that's the right route, to do that route. If you want to just pick and choose, if you want to go down the parasite route, then mimosa pudica seed and Formula 1, those are primarily for parasites. If you're sensitive, just start slow and low. This is not a sprint. And I would say that for almost any product, right? Just in some people's mentality, you just need to feel it. Like I get that, but after all the testimonials and all the feedback that we've gotten, just be okay that you can start slow and low and you'll still get results.
Yeah. I think people do want a little drama in their detox, but you actually don't want drama in your detox. Jay and I have both been through a lot of detox, and you don't want drama. Yeah.
Yeah. We're speaking from experience, right?
Exactly. Maybe I'll end on this question, because we did get a lot of questions about binders. I know your binders are a little different. You can take them with food. They're not going to compete and absorb nutrients. Can you talk about the difference between your binders and maybe just a pure charcoal?
Yes. Yeah. So we have a scientist that has created bioactive carbons. So nobody else has them. They're very unique, and it's special technology. He's also the guy that created Mito Restore. So it's brand new technology. So we're working our best to try to really get the message out. Like, we should be able to release a book within the next year on all the science and stuff on bioactive carbons. It's pretty intense. We're just trying to bring it down to more like a third grade level instead of like a super sciencey level, because it's a little crazy. But essentially, bioactive carbons, they're extracts of humic acid and fulvic acid. So they come from natural products. They're not petroleum based. They're basically natural products, but they're extracts of them. And then our scientist is able to change the energy, the pH, what's bound onto them, and also empty binding spots off depending on what the goals are. So we have multiple bioactive carbons. One is for mold primarily, and ammonia, and fungal candida toxins. That's called bioactive carbon biotox. And then we've got another one called foundation, bioactive carbon foundation. That one is the biggest spectrum, if you will. The biotox, if you have any GI issues, that's your go-to. If you're looking for kind of the most comprehensive, broad spectrum detoxer, that's going to be your foundation. If you really want to target heavy metals and pesticides, then you want the Metchem. So they're essentially long, short, and medium chain carbons. So if you look at activated charcoal or carbon, it is just long chain carbons. And all you got to know is long chain carbons just stay in the gut. They're too big to actually cross the membrane. Potentially, if you have really bad leaky gut, you might get some to sneak across, but it doesn't mean they're actually getting anywhere in the body or in the cells, because they're so big as a molecule. So generally, activated charcoal will just sit inside the GI. So the bioactive carbons, it's a third long chain, a third medium chain, and a third small chain. So a third of the product will stay in the gut, and then the medium and the small chain will actually get absorbed in the body. Now, activated charcoal is what we call a spent carbon. So it's kind of already spent its energy, and it's also got a lot of the binding positions already occupied. So if you think about a big bus, like a school bus, and half the seats are occupied, and then you ingest that bus, well, you're gonna be able to pick up some more kids because there's still some empty seats, but not as many as if the bus is empty. So the bioactive carbons, we basically empty all the spots out, and then it's better binding, and it's also energetic. So if you actually put it under a microscope, you can actually see, they're like electrified or energized, if you will, versus kind of the dead charcoal. So the bioactive carbons you can take with or without food, which makes it way easy protocol wise, instead of the old school clay and charcoal 2 hours away from everything. But I guess that's just some of the nuances of bioactive carbons.
Yeah, I definitely want to read that book and learn more. I mean, I've taken a lot of different kinds of binders before I found out about yours, and I find yours to be very mild. And again, you might be like, well, it's not doing anything. But first of all, binder's not really supposed to like do anything in a sense. Like, it's binding, it's cleaning up. It's not like, it's not supposed to be stirring the pot. It's supposed to be cleaning the pot, so to speak. But yeah, I find them very tolerable, definitely easier to take. I have the biotoxin binder right now, but I want to try the metal chemical one as well. So, and I had some questions on here about, does it not absorb your nutrients or this or that? So if you're worried about that,
it actually doesn't. So you can actually take it with food, and it'll actually help nutrient absorption. So the difference is, it's almost like you don't even want to think of it as a charcoal, because it's really not. It binds on to specific things depending on which one you're taking, right? Chemicals, pathogen debris, those things. But there's also actually a reparative mechanism. And that's one of the reasons it's so tolerable, and where there's not a lot of quote unquote side effects or like herxine effects where you're like, whoa, I can feel things changing. So there's actually a reparative mechanism. So you think about it, hey, there's a toxin, it's grabbing onto it, but as it grabs onto it and you have the inflammation and scarring of that tissue where that toxin was, the bioactive carbons have a reparative mechanism to actually help calm that down. So instead of kind of the old school, when you're in the chelation side of things and you do a few days and you have to take, a week or two off just to try to recover from, all the inflammation, the bioactive carbons you can actually stay on continuously because of the repair mechanism. And that's one of the major differences. But yeah, it doesn't bind on to nutrients. For instance, we always say, take them 2 hours away from medications. The reason we say that is because that actually can increase the absorption of the medication, which you don't want to overdose that. And that's way different. That's way different than a charcoal where it'll just bind onto it. And then you won't actually, it's like, why am I taking this if I'm just binding onto the, med or onto that vitamin, if you will. So it's very different. And that's part of the challenge we have in communicating that, but we're working on it, and we just want people test it out, try it out. If you're not sure, what you want to do, I would say, Mimosa pudica seed and Formula 1's a great place to start, because a lot of people feel things and see things, and that always helps kind of that mental capacity to know, okay, something's happening. But honestly, I mean, the detox starter protocols there for a specific reason to kind of help in all areas.
Awesome. Well, I know it's late where you are, so I want to let you go, but I just want to thank you for just like coming out with these products. We're both like choking today for some reason. I just, it's like, it's hard. This subject is so tough for the people going through it. And we've been there, and your wife's been there, and like just coming up with these more advanced products that, work easier and quicker without, all the detox drama and risk and stuff. I'm just really thankful you're developing them. We have a few of his products in our shop as well, but you can get the discount right now in their shop. So it's a great place to go. Just check out everything. The full moon kit, I've sent people a lot of that. That's the Formula 1, Mimosa pudica, and the biotoxin binder. So I love that little kit. And yeah, people can keep asking questions here on Facebook, as well as Jay's speaker page. This talk will come back again on Encore weekend, and Jay's business partner, Dr. Todd Watts, will be on the digestion day, which is Thursday, I think. Thursday or Friday? I think
it's the 6th. I think it's Thursday.
Thursday. Okay. I think you're right. Yeah. So he'll get even deeper into parasites, but Jay's talk was a little bit more big picture. So just keep learning with us. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to keep in mind, because it's so easy to get like frustrated and angry of like, wow, there's 80,000+ toxins and this world is going to HE double hockey sticks and there's toxins everywhere. You have to remember, anytime that something quote unquote like evil is created, there's the opposite of good being created as well too. And so I think it really is important to focus on the fact that, these type of tools would have never been created without the need. So as there's a need, there are solutions, and just really focus on the fact that there is possibility, there is hope, there is the ability to heal, because it can be a dark place when you're just like, gosh, what are they spraying in the sky? And they're trying to jab me with this. And I'm just, they're literally, causing genocide and guinea pigs. It's like, yeah, that might be true, but understand that there's a whole opposite amount of people that are doing good in the world. And so how can we help more of them to get people well?
That's a great point. Yeah. Let's like walk in the light and like, let's support each other. And that's what we're doing here today. So thanks again, Dr. J. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of the summit, y'all.